I have a problem, and I feel like some of you may have this problem too. When I am mindlessly scrolling through the endless vortex of social media, I often come across pieces of furniture, and I think to myself, I bet I could build that. So for this project, I am going to be building a small bookshelf that I saw when scrolling through Instagram. Now, some people might think that building a project that they saw on social media lacks creativity. They could even say that it is copying, plagiarism, or imitation. However, I prefer to think of it as creative inspiration. Whether you get your inspiration from photos on social media, projects that you just see out in the wild, or even projects in books and magazines, if people still read those, I think we can all agree that the enjoyment comes from getting into the shop and building something. Now that my lumber for the project is almost finished being prepped, I guess I need to show you the bookshelf that I am building. So here's the photo that I am going to be working off of as a reference. There are a few things that I would like to change, and we'll get to that as we progress through the build. Now you saw me milling up some maple that I had from a previous project, and here I'm laying out the sides for the bookshelf and making sure to mark the orientation in which boards are going to be going together. After marking these boards, I can then begin the process of gluing up all of the panels. Admittedly, this bookshelf is not a very complicated project, but I wanted to build it so that I can practice two techniques. The first is that the shelves are going to be attached using housed mortise and tenons. And second, I wanted to do the edge treatment by hand, primarily using a spoke shave. I enjoy practicing new skills on smaller projects because there's less risk if you're to mess it up. After completing the panel glue ups, I can then bring them over to the planer and clean up the glue edges and bring them down to final thickness. Here I'm cutting out the dados for the housed mortise and tenon joinery using a router. I've ganged up the two side panels so that the dados are evenly spaced on the panels. Next, I can use a second fence to set up the correct spacing for the domino that is going to make up the housed mortise and tenon. I could then cut the corresponding mortise for the dominoes in the shelves. After cutting out the mortises for the dominoes, I could then cut the rabbets over at the table saw. Because these are stop dados, I also have to cut them back using the bandsaw and then cleaning up and rounding over the corners with a chisel. Now, one of the things I did not like about the original bookcase was that the top was squared. I wanted to do a rounded profile, so I clamped up the two side panels together and cut out a curve on the bandsaw. With the curves cut, I can then mark out some dominoes to hold on the top back plate and the bottom kick plate. When cutting the mortises for the top plate, I want to make sure that the fence is set on the domino so that the top plate is flush with the back. And when cutting the mortise for the kick plate, to set the fence higher so that the kick plate is set back behind the bottom shelf. With the joinery complete, I can now begin marking out for the edge treatment. Here I'm just marking out the center line along the top and how deep I want the radius to be. I started with cutting the edge for the top, as this is end grain, And if there is any tear out, it can be cleaned up when I go to do the sides. Next, I could mark out the same profile for the sides of the bookshelf. It would have been much easier to do this edge treatment using a router. However, I wanted to practice making consistent edges by hand. When cutting the edge profile, I started by working my way down to the stop line and then slowly working my way by rounding over to the middle. After shaping the profile with the spoke shave, I cleaned it up with some fine grit sandpaper and ensured that the profile was even along the entire length of the side. Next, I'm going to shape the edges on the shelves. The two bottom shelves are going to have the round over on both sides. However, the top two, which will hold the drawer, is only going to have the round over on one side. This is so that there isn't a gap where the drawer meets the shelf. At the router table, I'm cutting a rabbet along the back of the top and bottom shelf to accept the back panel. This is a through rabbet, so I'm able to just run the piece all the way across. The rabbet on the side panels for the back needed to be a stopped rabbet so that the back panel wouldn't be exposed. To do this, I marked start and stop lines on the router fence and plunged the piece into the router. Before assembling the cabinet, I want to size the pieces for the drawer. Here, I'm just taking small shavings off of what will be the sides of the drawer and making sure that they fit into the cabinet that is dry assembled. Next, I'm cutting the face piece for the drawer down to rough length and then slowly sneaking up on the fit using a shooting board. With the drawer pieces cut to size, I can then cut the rabbets on the front that will hold the drawer sides. With the drawer parts cut, I can now begin gluing up the bookshelf. The decision to use house mortise and tenons for the shelves made this glue up difficult. This was my first time attempting this technique, and I didn't quite have the domino mortises lined up correctly. Because of this, I had to use some extra physical persuasion when putting the bookshelf together, and there are some small gaps in the shelves on the finished bookshelf. To make matters worse, using house mortise and tenons for the shelves really wasn't even necessary. Simple dado joints would have been more than sufficient to hold this bookshelf together. The use case for housed mortise and tenon joints is more for if this bookshelf was rotated 90 degrees. This would prevent what is now the top and bottom of the carcass from coming loose over time. Basically, I am a glutton for punishment and wanted to make this project harder than it ultimately had to be in the name of practice. The silver lining is that when I go to use this joinery in the future, I now know what I need to improve on. Speaking of future projects, if you are enjoying this project in video, I would really appreciate it if you would like it and subscribe to the channel. I know that you have probably heard this spiel many times before, but this type of engagement really helps channels, especially newer channels like mine, to get them out there. I would love to be able to keep making these videos in the future, and I already have another project on the go that will hopefully be done soon. I waited to assemble the drawer until after the bookshelf was glued up, in case there was any small changes. Here I'm marking out for some dowels that are going to provide some extra support and a little bit of style to the sides of the bookshelf. Once those holes are drilled, I can then begin gluing up the drawer. With the drawer finished gluing, I can then finish up the holes into the front face of the drawer and glue in the walnut dowels that I made. After the glue is dried, I can then cut off the waste from these dowels and finish cleaning them up with a chisel. Here I'm gluing in the drawer pole. The drawer pole was something that I had turned out of a small piece of walnut and decided to use on this project. And it's just going to be attached using a maple spline. After the glue is dried, I can also clean up that with a chisel. With all the parts now assembled, I could do the final sanding in preparation for finishing. For the finish on this piece, I made a wipe-on polyurethane out of equal parts bar polyurethane, boiled linseed oil, and mineral spirits. Now I did a few coats of this finish, sanding between each coat, and between each coat, what I would do is top up my finish with a little bit more mineral spirits to thin it out. With this project almost complete, I think this is a good opportunity to look at the original reference photo that I started from. Overall, I think I kept the same concept from the original photo, and the two big changes were curving over the top of the sides and rounding over the edges. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you think I improved on the design, and if you have ever built anything based off of a photo from social media.